Got my pen. Alright. And I sent, yep, I sent that tweet. Righty. Just a bit of the initial stretch before getting into business today. Alrighty. Hope you all been good today. It's pretty it's pretty nice, but also a little bit nerve-wracking because today is the 20th of May, and what does that mean? That means we have less than 9 days until my first, like, big, in quotation marks, convention of the year, which is Des Moines Con. Thankfully, I'm a local, so keeping my expenses low for it. But I've been doing a lot just recently, trying to get everything prepared because I changed a lot. In fact, just yesterday and this morning, I was working on my booth display. I was having a little bit of trouble with my mock setup earlier because the what is it? I'm just gonna open up a new page here because the poles that I have for the table were just for whatever reason not clamping properly, and they were basically slipping off, and was just trying to figure out a solution around that. And I thought, why not go to the hardware store, see if I can get something else. Yeah, I got these trigger clamps, which are like these guys. And they have a little bird here. And then the railing extends beyond the back, like so. And I did see this idea where you would take these guys and basically mount them to the table like this. Use a extended edge here for your PVC pipes. That sounded brilliant because it addresses the issue that I've run into with some conventions where they don't provide a standard golden table, the plastic kind. And so you get these really like random variations in quality. One of them I actually had basically crumbled on me because it was like a wooden frame. And so I try to clamp it and it just crumbles. And that one also was like super thick. I mean, like if this was a normal table thickness, the one that I had was like this thick. And so you can imagine how a regular clamp couldn't even get onto there at all. So that would have been great. The problem is it goes like this. Got the clamp, and got the guard down here. Then you got the railing, and all of that weight is coming off the table. instead of through the table. And so what ends up happening is, whoop, like that. And I have a digital photo frame that I wanted to put on my table. You may recall from earlier in the year when I was talking about Tri-City Con, how I used a photo frame there in order to show time lapses of my streams, show some advertising in between, those sort of things. That was a great thing to have, but it was also on its own, like, great stand. So I didn't have to worry about weight distribution or how it hung on the structure itself. And so I've been trying all sorts of things, like those wreath hooks that you can buy for your door. It's like this piece right here. It goes over the top of the frame, and this thing would just sit like right here. The problem is it didn't. It would not. It refused. It strove for freedom and ejected itself as soon as possible, because the whole thing would actually lean like this due to the weight. And so out it goes like that. Oh boy. But I gave the PVC pipes a good old try just to see if it would work. In theory, it does work. If you were just hanging like simple signage, prints and that kind of stuff, then yeah, that works just fine. But if you wanted to hang anything that would have actual weight, then no, it doesn't. And at one point I was like, well, what if I just did this? So it would be pretty much just a bunch of pipes here, and then maybe like rubber stoppers or something at the bottom here, just to keep it in place. But that's a lot of pipes and a lot of connectors. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna figure out why my table railings weren't doing the job in the first place. As it turns out, I had ordered two different kinds of table railings. One of them is actually shorter than the other by a good amount. And I had used the new one as a back railing of this side, and then the old ones were like this to kind of complete the arrangement. But for whatever reason, the plate that the mounts are on are actually a little bit shorter on the new ones versus the other one, and so it just did not have the kind of surface area that I needed to grab what I wanted. And so the old ones were actually pretty okay with the tables that I got, and so I just swapped them out and took a closer look, and it's like literally oh, like an eighth of an inch larger on the base, like literally that much larger. And somehow that just gives it enough grip to be fine. I put it together. I put my fabric up. Um, looks fine. I put the TV up. Oh, cool thing about the TV. I got these command hook things that apparently the command hook guys have been cooking. Yeah, I'm not kidding here. They have been cooking, and they have a specialty kind of hooks that you can get that are specifically designed for holding up cords. So like bundles of cords, not hose, but just like electrical cords. And so it has a like this kind of shape here at the base, and it's kind of rounded towards the top here. And then there's this rubberized piece that comes out of it, and it's like pretty rigid here. And so if you hung it up, it'll be like this. There's your cables. So I just basically put that upside down on the back of a photo frame. Like so. And then I can just run the railing through at the top. So that actually worked out pretty well. I still have access to the back for like power and whatnot. So that's been a pretty cool like adventure in figuring out a problem for the booth. um so that's my adventure there, and let's just switch gears here. What my plan for today was to do some last minute production work. Well, not production, design work. And that is these. So I've been working on the catalog. I've been working on the print for the Sonic Rally that I've been in. And I got that print done with the recipe on the back. And I was originally gonna also do the Ghibli art, because I have recipe cards that I did way back, and I figured, hey, maybe I could modernize them now that I'm doing this with the chili doll print. And I'm like, well, we got 9 days before the convention. Do I want to spend that time doing that or do something different? And my decision was something different. So I was out at a bakery the other day, just looking around because I love to check out the new places in town and see what they got going on. And as I'm looking through their display, I noticed something, and it just gets the gears in my head turning. They had cookies. Okay. Wow. Real spectacular. A bakery. They got cookies. Yeah. You kind of expect that much. But I have been working on button pins. I have the machinery for it. So I got thinking, well, don't they kind of look like button pins if they're kept in a wrapper? Kind of like what you get from Grace or another manufacturer. And I'm like, you know, that actually might be a fun idea to try. Just see if it'll go somewhere. And so what I'm thinking I would do is design some button badges that I would put in plastic wrapping, and then I would use a little wooden tray with some kind of razor um, in order to display those, and it would just look like the bakery trays with cookies in it, and help kind of complete the theme that I have going on with the booth. And so that's a goal for today, is just to get a couple of designs going. That might work, and I am going to be doing these in Blender just for the sake of um, having future assets to reuse. So I'll get switched over now. So as you can see here, this is a print that I have without the white background for it, and I did a little bit of post-production work. Where oh, right, there we go. I look that would look a little bit weird without the hot dog and the bun itself, but yet I managed to get this done. Nothing too special, I would say, as far as the process that goes into it. So I'm just gonna pop over the wireframe on these. So we have the chili and the tomato chunks, onion chunks, the jalapenos that we worked on in the previous stream. And then I had some onion rings, and I just kind of play with them a little bit to give it better shape and dimension. And then the glass is probably the most egregious of the group, because it is literally just a cylinder that's been painted on top in perspective. But one of these days I might work on a actual like semi-transparent glass with ice and all of that. I mean, I kind of did when I did the Anaconda Swamp Cooler for the Halloween recipe cards. However, that didn't really go over so well, and I'm actually not sure if the textures on those ever got saved properly. So that's unfortunate, but I'll work on that another day. And then little Sonic and Tails over here. Just a simple plane and a little bit of force perspective to pull it all together. So that's good to have done. close that out. And then start on our next thing. Okay. Add a clutch under here. And let's get some reference. Pull up my backup stuff here. Where'd you go? Thought I pulled down a copy, but I didn't. Just doing a quick look. This one looks good. Alrighty. And pull it up over here. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this, with the button badges being circular. I also have one that's a square. And oh, I'm so sorry. Have I just been on the wrong scene this entire time? Gosh, okay. Yeah, okay. So real quick, just going back to this. So here's a wireframe. Put everything together, just kind of organized it, and then did a little bit of post-processing to shine it up, cover up some gaps, made some onion rings, rotated them, sliced them up and down. The drink is just nearly a cylinder painted on with some texture, like the backside is just non-existent. And then his Sonic and Tails is a plane as well, with some force perspective to put it all together. Alright, now that you have the actual visuals, it's time to go back to this. Okay. So again, you can kind of see where I'm going with the button badge idea. They're circular. And I have a jig and a presser for square buttons as well. And I was also thinking about the possibility of getting a coffin shaped one, because that might actually be perfect for like drinks. Or if I can get a kind of a rectangular one, because the one that I have that's square is just full on square. But yeah, there's apparently a lot more of these jigs out there. They are kind of expensive though, because the one I was looking at for the coffin was like $650 for the pressing set, the cutting jig, and let me take a look here. Oh, and it includes supplies as well, which is nice. But yeah, whew, that's a lot to shell out. But yeah. That's something to look into for the future. Maybe I'll get one. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just get it manufactured. But it is nice having the actual equipment to do this kind of stuff at home. So I can just do a couple of trial runs, see if it works. If it doesn't, not a huge loss compared to having a bunch of stuff that you don't want to sell from a overseas manufacturer. Alrighty. So very basic thing. Let me see if I can switch over to the other screen here. Other monitor, I should say. Okay, that's a little bit more space for me to work with. Alrighty. Very basic cylinder. And then just get a couple rings in here for UV purposes. Alrighty. Okay, that's just a real simple base to start off with. I'll probably do a like a white border around these guys. Just to make it simple rather than trying to do a colored border. Okay. I probably should do something about the bottom here as well for the future. Just in case I want to do a um if I want to do a backside, like, cookies in the air floating, twirling around, you know I'll eventually have to do the backside of it, but just keep it pretty simple. So what have you all been up to today? Let me know in the chat or the comments if you're watching the pod later. Hope it's been going well for you. Okay, and then UVs. Okay, that looks fine to me here. I am actually gonna pull this back to the other monitor here, my graphics tablet. So I can texture paint in peace. So I'm actually doing this in kind of two stages. One of them would be the base and then the toppings, just to make it a little easier on myself for the future. Really give it some texture and variety. That's something I've been watching recently was the new Dark Pictures anthology series. I've been rather interested in what they were doing since I want to say, I think it's a Devil Within Me. It was the one where the whole thing was about this film crew that was trying to do a documentary on the House of Murders. It the whole narrative style gameplay was pretty interesting, and so I've been just keeping an eye on them, watching like House of Ashes, Man of Medan, I think it was. Let's see. I don't know if I don't recall if House of Ashes was the one with the underground area, or if it was just purely the Egyptian area. But yeah, anyway, they came out with a new installment in the series called Directive 8020. And gosh, it was pretty interesting, honestly. I can tell that they were trying out a different formula for how they do it, because normally there's like these intermissions, and then they like the narrator or the curator in this case would then talk to you a little bit about the story, kind of give you opinions, feedback, thoughts, and that kind of stuff. And with Directive 8020, I didn't see any of that. And then they also apparently took away the missions. I think that's how you say it. But there was this mechanic in the previous games where you can kind of gauge how somebody might die in the upcoming chapter, and that would kind of warn you about whether you need to be paying attention to something based on those clues that you would get from viewing the lore or whatever. I am not gonna go into it too much for spoiler reasons because it's new, but I will say the overall plot a little bit derivative, a little bit interesting. Would I play through it again? Probably not, but it is interesting if you wanted to experience it, kind of like a cinematic thing. Just seeing someone else play it, kind of see what choices they have. It really did remind me of Metal Gear Solid with the stealth gameplay versus like the narrative driven focus that they had previously. So that may not be everybody's cup of tea. Get some more ridges around the edge here. Not too much detail though, because these will be 58 millimeter, which I believe is 2.25 inches roughly. So about the same size as a sticker. Well, a little bit smaller than a sticker really. Then you have to allow for some of the warping around the edges, which I'm doing with the white background that will be going around these. Where was I going with this? That's also been kind of an issue lately, just kind of forgetting where I'm at with the conversation topic, because I've been just talking a lot recently, which is nice. Properly exercising my voice and all that. But yeah, the game definitely has more of a adult gameplay aspect to it, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, not really mine, but it does make you think at times, which is good. Let's see. Y'all have a favorite kind of cookie? Mine, as much as people like to joke about it, but I actually do like oatmeal raisin. I was that kid in elementary school that when it was oatmeal raisin cookie day at school, and there were kids who just didn't really want to waste it because it was icky. And so it's horrible, but I would actually end up with like 5 or 6 of those cookies on my tray. And so if people were just giving them to me. But yeah, this actually ended up being my favorite. They made it pretty good back then. Same with the square pizza. I hear that it might still be a thing these days, but I certainly hope that they're trying to feed the kids a little healthier. Because there were certainly some questionable decisions as far as what we were allowed to eat. I remember blowing a little bit of my budget on like chips and that kind of stuff, just because we were allowed to. And I actually at one point, just because I was like super good at basically acting like I belonged, and so I was able to just basically slip into the teacher's lounge and use their vending machine. And then I would just basically smuggle it out and charge a pretty penny for the kids who really wanted soda back then. And I also did the same thing with candy, although they didn't have a candy vending machine. I just brought it with me to school. So capitalism has been in my blood for a long time. Yeah, my parents weren't too happy when they found out. But at least I wasn't doing anything like terribly reckless. It was kind of back in that age where parents just basically let their kids roam all over without much supervision. Yeah, nowadays I don't see very many actually getting out and about, but in some cases that's actually a good thing. Some kids in my area were like reenacting that stupid TikTok trend that was going around for a while, where they were, I don't even know what it's called, but it's like they would pretend to be FBI agents and basically knock down people's doors, bang loudly on it, and they actually ended up knocking down my garage entry door, so I had to get that fixed. But yeah, kids these days, I tell you what. Add a little bit of color overall. I think that's pretty good for a base. Maybe a couple of thicker racks. For our character. Yeah, that should do. And I am probably just gonna leave the back side alone. I can get it another day. Um, okay. Where did you go? Where did you spawn? Way out down here of all the places. Um, okay, cool. We got a couple of different kinds here. We got the big chocolate chunks, and then we got the pieces. So I'll do both of them. And just a little bit of sculptural work. Oops. I know in Blender you can do things like I'll have a texture be a bump map or something like that. In order to introduce like randomness to the overall shape. And I gotta be real with you, I'm too lazy. So I'm just moving stuff around, and then we'll just rotate things around and turn them, have a little bit of fun. And that'll give us plenty of shape to work with. Okay. That's the unfortunate thing about accidentally having an even number of vertices for the corners. Let's see. But I don't really want to bother with merging them. So this should be fine. Okay. Wow, that's loud. I don't know if you guys can hear it that at all, but it's been driving me a little bit crazy recently. This motorcyclist, having a contest, so to speak, on who can be the loudest and most annoying. But yeah, it's been a bit of a problem. That's one of the issues with living on a artery street. This we got stuff going on all day, all night, even. No much rest for the wicked. Just a little bit of randomness in application. And touch of color. Make it a little bit more red. Okay, and then we got some dark patches in here. And then we got some disruption. Get a little bit of stylization going on in here. Hmm. Yeah, just touching it up a bit here so the surfaces don't look so even. Alright, this should be pretty good, I think. Here's the, oh, there. Lost my cookies for a bit. A little bit too even. It should be pretty good. 1 hour in. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's do the next thing. So it would be a cone. And like so. Kind of the annoying thing about doing a standard cone is that you gotta manually adjust directly because the rings, because they can't just use a width this easily because of all these triangles right here. Oh, that is not pretty. Gotta come around a little bit more here. That should do, I think. Now, how am I gonna do this? Hmm. Guess I'll probably do. Chocolate chip drop. Did I save the other image? I'm not sure. Let me make sure I do that. Thought so. Always double check. Oh boy, yet another bot. Bye bye, bot. I don't get it. Why they come in and think I need any help. um right. Uh It's kind of interesting. With the triangles here, it kind of gives us a little bit of unintentional texture. Kind of like it was, produced by a machine. Give it a little bit of character. Yep, that's not too bad. That's saved. Then yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Then I think I'm actually gonna call it here. Like, I don't want to try to do too many things. Just keep it relatively simple and make sure that I don't overcommit to production. So that is gonna be all for tonight, and hope this was enjoyable. See you guys next time. It'll be the last stream before the convention, and I am gonna try to have a video of the convention itself as something to look forward to in 2 weeks from now. But that is all for today, and y'all have a good evening.